They're good at passing, unlike some of us.
Like at heart, I think a professional athlete's life is so dictated by like 1,000 people around them. That like I think I would just lose my mind.
Yeah. So basically, you can't be an athlete. You can't be a politician. You can't be a CEO. Thank God. But
I'm the CEO of this podcast.
I'm like thinking like, wait, if this is true, does this mean like you can't be a famous comedian or a famous actor, famous like screenwriter? Like, you know, it's as I guess as long as you don't have
You're
too
just
much
shading
spotlight.
me. Oh, you can't be a comedian. You can't be an actor. You can't be a dentist. You can't be a horticulturalist. You can't fucking be the commander at large for Customs and Border Patrol.
Yeah, your career options are getting limited by the minute. I'm sorry to say.
When I say, look, of course, there's other reasons. I don't know why you're trying to humble me right now. Yes, I'm also not dedicated enough to the game, and I'm also not like a one in a generation talent or rich. Okay,
But you do want to get back into playing basketball or soccer, and you're like, I'm tall enough.
I really do want to have like a team sport in my life. I'm a cyclist through and through, but like a group cycling trip is like nothing compared to like a pickup basketball or soccer game, because it just happens everywhere pretty much in the city in the summertime.
And you're looking to get into like some gay basketball.
Yeah. I mean, is there any other kind?
That's a good question. Let's go to the next NBA game, NBA game, and ask them if this is a gay basketball game.
NBA, flip it over. WNBA.
Yeah, that's gonna be the longest lasting contribution of Wicked for Good. You know, I make these jokes, and I didn't hate that movie. It wasn't very, you know, it was a solid 3 out of 5 on Letterboxd.
3 out of 5 is good, and also the buckets of money that they made is also quite nice.
But yeah, I guess Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo are they're gonna need a new career. They're gonna need to join Unrivaled.
Look, wait, look, okay, yeah, we're gonna talk about some jock shit today, okay? Yeah, welcome to Dubweather. I'm AP.
I'm Marcy.
But like, before we get into that, let a little gay boy cinemaphile talk about something. F1 got nominated for Best Picture.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one. I mean, like, over the years, there have definitely been worse nominations, and some of those have won Best Picture. I bet F1 is better than, like, Green Book.
Well, I mean, Green Book is such a smaller movie than F1. I stopped watching F1 about 30 minutes in. So, like, just because I was like, I honestly dislike seeing Brad Pitt. Like, seeing Brad Pitt, even with his new face, I'm like, I just don't want to see you, man. I just know too much about you, man. I just know that if I'm in a private jet with you, and I'm also a child, I should leave.
Oh, God. I haven't kept up with all the Brad Pitt allegations, but I just, like, know... he has enough allegations against him that it's kind of like, yeah, you probably do want to stay away from him.
Okay. Look, F1 is still a sport.
True.
So, like, but, like, it's a manly sport. Oh.
Yeah, and we're here to talk about women's sports. In particular, basketball, and in particular, 3-on-3 basketball. That's right. It's Unrivaled.
Unrivaled.
We're giving you unrivaled access to Unrivaled. LOL, JK, there are podcasts that are completely about Unrivaled. Don't sue us.
Or sue us. I'll see you in court, bitch. Which one, though, am I right?
Yeah, we're talking about the court in Apothecary Diaries. But yeah, we're talking about Unrivaled because it's having its second season.
The sophomore season.
Yeah, and there's no sophomore slump here. Yeah, so I haven't like mentioning to people at parties that I'm getting into Unrivaled, And most people are like, what the hell is that? So obviously people need to be educated. So this is a player-owned league. Hello.
Semi-player owned. I'll get into it.
Well, in particular, we got Nafisa Collier and Brianna Stewart, two icons of basketball. They are the co-owners. And yeah, this is a league that has the highest average salary for women's basketball. That's right. It's beating WNBA by a lot. I know you got those numbers somewhere stashed
By
away.
so much. Last year, there was this big controversy when the Great White Hope, Caitlin Clark, came into the WNBA, and the information around her contract became public that she was getting paid about $80,000 a year to be part of the Indiana Fever.
Ridiculous.
Nonsense. Full nonsense. Compared to like Unrivaled, which is coming in with about $220,000 a year for a 9-week season. And also they brought in a lot of different benefits for the players, which we'll get into in a moment.
Yeah. And so the first season they had 6 teams. Now they have 8 teams, and they have 8 games per week on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, 2 games per day. And we're going to be focusing specifically on a game that happened this weekend, Rose v. Phantom.
And by weekend, we mean the weekend of the 23rd of January.
Yeah. So before we kind of dive deeper, I want to hear about your history with Unrivaled WNBA basketball. Is this your first time watching Unrivaled? How much WNBA have you watched? And how much basketball have you watched and played in?
I have played basketball in middle school and in high school, and I was so bad at it.
So when you say played, do you mean like you were on the team, or you played it in PE?
No, yeah, I was on the team.
Okay, so you can be.
I was on the team. Okay.
So I'm kind of curious, like how like
homie, I was on the roster.
What were the tryouts like? Like, was it like, oh, we barely have anyone who wants to play, so we gotta let this guy in, even though he sucks? Like, I'm trying to figure this out.
I may or may not have been about a foot taller than most people, and I may or may not have been 50 pounds heavier than most people. Most children on the team. I was a child too, right? But it was just in a different place where the school just was not big enough to like really have too much of a tryout. So like I wasn't the walk-on as much as I did fill out the form properly.
Yeah. It makes me think about like a version of myself that would go back in time to be like, wait, it was that easy to like be a student athlete? Because I had like zero interest in sports when I was in high school.
I was a student athlete through most of my high school. Yeah, so you're talking to an athlete.
Yeah, a real jock over here.
Jacques Cousteau, like that. And other than that, I catch games here and there. I've known a lot of people that like really like basketball. I have seen the Bulls play. I would like to see the Sky play, but the Chicago Sky play, but they're very expensive tickets. And yeah, generally I'm just kind of like a very casual player and watcher.
So I am someone, I think I've mentioned before on the podcast that like when March Madness rolls around, there have been times where I've gotten really into it. So much so that I like won the bracket tournament at the job that I worked for, like in 2017 or whatever. So basketball is a lot of fun for me to watch, but until last year, I didn't really get into women's basketball. It was something that I knew that hypothetically I would like for a long time, but I knew that you have to like invest time and energy in order to really get into it. And then finally, some friends asked if we wanted to go see a Chicago Sky game, and we did, and they won. They beat Paige Becker's team, which was cool because I knew Paige Becker's was awesome. And
the other Great White Hope.
And Chicago Sky wasn't having the best season, so it was somewhat of a surprise. Of course, the Wings weren't a great team either, so not that big of a surprise in retrospect. But yeah, I started paying more attention to both WNBA and the Chicago Sky after that. And I think I really enjoyed it, but also I kind of had trouble keeping up with it because there were so many games. And here comes Unrivaled. And because there were fewer games, fewer players, fewer teams, it's much easier for me to keep up with. And I've really been liking this second season. And I've watched at least the highlights for almost every single game so far.
You're telling me that someone passed you the rock.
Yeah.
You smoked the rock and you were hooked.
Absolutely. And I think there's like a lot of different reasons. There's a lot of different entryways. I mean, I think the fact that there are so many queer players, both in the WNBA and Unrivaled, is very appealing. And like, especially like in this age where you can like just like watch TikToks about like queer WNBA and Unrivaled players, and it's just like a lot of fun.
Yeah, I follow this TikToker. Her name is Coach Jackie.
Oh yeah, I'm very familiar.
And I you know, a couple of other creators around this like sport. And there is one thing to note that like more funding has been put into like the women's side of sports in pretty much every age bracket. That has led to like way more talent be able to be developed and be put in front of the largest stages of their respective leagues. So it's basketball's one thing. The women's like soccer team, U.S. soccer team has always been like very good. And they've been good for like the last 10, 15 years. One of those players being Alex Morgan, who is an investor in Unrivaled. So there's a lot of fervor around like women playing sports. I mean, who would have thought? Who would have thought 50% of the population might have liked that?
You know, as the famous T-shirt says, everybody watches women's sports. And yeah, I mean, obviously the last few years have seen a big uptick. I remember when Caitlin Clark faced off against Angel Reese, that was a big deal. I think a lot of the narrative has been about Caitlin Clark, but if you listen to people who actually watch sports, she's just like a small percentage of what's going on. And like Angel Reese was really fun to watch on the Sky, even when the team wasn't doing great. And hey, neither of those players are playing on Unrivaled, and it's a complete blast. So I definitely want more people to kind of expand their knowledge base of like women's basketball players, because there's a lot more than just those two going on. So.
Yeah. And this game that we watched had some of the best players to watch.
Yeah, absolutely.
We had the score god.
No, the point god.
The point god? Oh my god, am I being out-jocked?
Yeah, Courtney Gray. She has the most points that I've ever won so far in Unrivaled. And she's like the showiest player, in my opinion. I think like the most fun thing to watch from her is her no-look passes, where she's just dribbling the ball and then suddenly she doesn't even look and then throws the ball behind her, and one of her teammates will catch it and sink the ball into the net.
And it's so magical. This game that we watched had one in the third quarter, and the way that Gray set this up and made that pass, to me, as someone who is a bit of a neophyte, understands that what is happening is teamwork. Like there's so much like clear and specific teamwork within there, and Gray just has the confidence to like put that out there. And the whole game that we watched, the commentators were constantly talking about, oh, Gray is tired of losing. She's about to put this bad boy into overdrive and win.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I think kind of the narrative going into this game, so Rose v. Phantom, Rose, they won the Unrivaled League last year. and then they won their first 3 games, but then they lost their next 3 games. And so they were facing off against Phantom, who had 4 wins and 2 losses. So Phantom had more momentum going into it, but I think those who have been watching, we know that Rose has so much talent and that eventually they were going to bounce back. And so it was a lot of fun to watch them bounce back in this game.
And they did. I mean, for the first half of the game, the Phantoms were doing exactly what the contract described, which was playing basketball.
Yeah, it was.
This is listener. This one, I tell you, I don't know shit about talking about sports.
I mean, the good news is I feel like a lot of the commentators, like, you see this for like all sports, that like it gets like very silly where people are like, I think they need to score more touchdowns in order to win. That's what really needs to happen.
Which is one. Look, I know that.
Yeah,
I know that.
Yeah, so it was a very close game, I think, for like the first 3 quarters, and then the Rose kind of started to run away with it a little bit more in the last quarter, which made it a little bit anticlimactic. But okay, I think I want to like go through the starting lineup so that we know who we're talking about. So Phantom, you have Kelsey Plum, you have Tiffany Hayes, and you got Leah Boston. And then for Rose, you had Shakira Austin. I love the Boston rhyme. You have Chelsea Gray, and you have Kalia Copper. So this is who we started out with. And then we had so basically, like, you know, it's 3-on-3 basketball, and there's like 6 players in the team. So for the Phantom, we also had Natasha Cloud, who we have a lot of thoughts on. We have
horny thoughts, listener.
I
might not know how to talk about sports.
we have Kiki Irifan. They have a few players who have injuries, so no Satu Saboli and no Dana Evans for this game. And then for Rose, we also have Lexi Hull, and we have Ezra Stevens, no Shug Sutton for this game. So yeah, I know that you really enjoyed seeing Kelsey Plum and Boston play together.
Yeah, there was a lot of poetry there. Like, it seemed like they were very well focused on how each of them likes to play. And this is also when I will dip into my understanding of basketball and say they're great at passing.
Oh, yeah.
I was gonna do a transphobic joke.
Yeah, they're good at passing, unlike some of us.
Yeah, there's a lot of chemistry there. Like, from what I have learned about these players is that they actually like each other.
Yeah.
There's like a real understanding that they are there to win. They're also propped up through their contract and through the league itself, and through even the format of the game, to have them be the best player that it can be. And just Plum and Boston delivered some very fun volleys in like the last 3 minutes of the second quarter, where I was just like, oh shit, this is real.
The narrative around this game is that Phantom is a more balanced team. You have 4 of their players in double digits: Boston, Hayes, Plum, and Cloud. While compared to Rose, the narrative is kind of more, well, Chelsea Gray, you know, she's kind of carrying the team on her shoulders, which was somewhat disproven in this game because Copper had a great game. She got 28 points, and then Austin also got 12 points. So, you know, don't count out Austin. But I think, yeah, Phantom, I think what's really fun is just like seeing how they sub out players in this game, where they're like, let's just throw Natasha Cloud in for a few minutes, then take her out for a few minutes, and then put her back in.
And Cloud is such a athletic player. Like, she was sprinting in this game. She was actually moving in this game. There was times in the game where, like, the players would kind of just lazily stand around. Maybe there's like some, I don't know, some rules there about like crowding a player or something. I don't know. And I'm also not an athlete, right? These players are exhausted by the end of the match. But like Cloud was burning energy every time that she was on the court.
Yeah, I think it's really fun to see like how much the players put into these games, especially because sometimes they can have like a more carefree vibe to the games. Like it's not like the WNBA. I mean, if you got Mabry on the court, it's not going to be carefree. She's going to crash out. But yeah, I love seeing the energy. You know what, Natasha Cloud? It's impossible to start talking about her and not at least mention how beautiful she is.
She is going quiet, so I have to speak. And listener, I respect women. And I especially respect Natasha Cloud.
Of course, Natasha Cloud is dating her teammate. So I think you may be a bit out of luck.
You know how much that hurts me?
Yeah.
Do you know how much that hurts me in
And
this parasocial relationship I'm trying to build?
You know how much it enriches us female queer basketball fans to hear you say that it hurts you that Natasha Cloud is dating a woman. Like we just love that. It's kind of like in the TikTok comments when people were like, "No, Paige Beckers can't be gay." Like the men were so mad.
Wait, Paige Becker's gay?
Paige Beckers is gay. She's dating AZ Fudd.
Hey, yo. Fudd?
Fudd.
What a weird last name.
AZ Fudd can dunk on you all day long.
And I would... And I would respect her.
You don't even know what she looks
she
like.
She is a better
You're just like,
player
on principle, I want a woman's basketball player to dunk on me.
I would hate if a tall, strong woman dunked on me. I would hate that.
Yeah.
Let me mention something here. Look, I'm kind of like a sapling in this field, and I know enough about basketball to know that there's like a specific structure. And I was interested in the difference in between Unrivaled versus just like the WNBA or the NBA, the MNBA. And I wanted to go in and learn that difference. The court is about 75% as large as a regular basketball court. Mm-hmm. Which is good because that means that the energy gets to like be kept up, which happens frequently. There's also 3/4 of 15 minutes, 12 minutes, something like that.
It's like 7 minutes.
There's 3/4 of like 7 minutes. And then the 4th quarter is not timed. What it is mathematically calculated into...
They add 11 points to the highest score at the end of the 3rd quarter, and whoever gets there first wins.
And that, to me, is very interesting. Because that shows... That's a comeback like feature built into the game. Mm-hmm. That means that the game is competitive up until the last moment. And in this game, it was kind of like that. The Phantoms were down. Rose was up. Rose literally just needed the 11. The 11 points, and Phantom needed just a handful more. Mm-hmm. Like a very small amount. And the energy was there. That's when the point guard came out. When she came down from the clouds to start putting in 3 points and then 3 points, and then like the teamwork there, the talent, as you mentioned, like really shown, because there was still energy there. They weren't running out the clock. They weren't even running out the shot clock. They were doing some like technical BS, but like that's true for all sports.
Yeah, 4th quarter, you're going to see like a challenge and like a bunch of fouls and all the stuff that you're kind of used to seeing.
And timeouts and that kind of stuff. And I do like that structure. because this is effectively you could sit down to watch Unrivaled, and then 1 hour later you're done watching Unrivaled.
Yeah.
And that, for someone who is not as interested in keeping up with all the narratives or the players or all of that stuff, it's nice. I like this like alternative structure that they have built out, because for me, a casual viewer, it's like it's edifying, it's good, and I think that's kind of what they're getting at Unrivaled. They want this general like maybe newer fan that could come in and just watch it and enjoy it.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's been very easy for me to get into, and I think it definitely helps that like all the games are on HBO Max. You kind of need to watch them within 48 hours, but on weekends, you know, if you don't got too much going on, it's pretty easy to keep up with them. Highlights are posted on YouTube. And yeah, like I think because there's like really talented players on each team, although Hive and Lunar Owls definitely had a slow start to the season and don't seem like they're going to make the playoffs unless one of them gets pretty lucky. There's multiple narratives that like I've gotten into. Like it's kind of funny because the Rose game is like the one game I didn't get to right away, and then I just saw people talking about Courtney Gray online, and I was like, I gotta figure out what's going on here. And then when I caught up, I was like, oh, okay, I get it now. But you know, Paige Beckers, you can get into her narrative with the Breeze. She won the free throw challenge. It does feel like more accessible. Like I think I just have trouble following 5-on-5 basketball sometimes. I'm like, there's so many players. It really helps with 3-on-3 where you're like, oh, this is a lot easier to follow.
You get overstimulated with 10 people on the court.
I don't know if it's overstimulated or if I'm just like, oh, there's no way I'm going to understand everything that's going on. So I'm just like not going to fully pay attention.
The masculine NBA there's a lot of energy there, and there's also like a lot of physicality. Like I like watching these players like maneuver around each other, and I also like to see them barrel over each other. And in this format of 3v3 in a smaller court, it's still there. Like there's so many times where these players are hitting each other like full palm to the face just to stop a layup, or the screen is so good that like you get bumped into the floor or you get these fouls, and there's this narrative in like, I mean, there's this misogynistic narrative, right? That like women hate each other, right? But like one of the things that I do like about the physicality in here is that even though that there is only 6 players on the court, there's still that like full contact sport that exists in basketball.
It's not like in the All-Star game where they're like not really trying to like hit each other because they're like, well, we're all like the best players, and if we get injured during this game, that wouldn't be very good. So I'm just gonna let you make that shot.
Yeah, sometimes in this game, people were just not attacking the person with the possession of the ball. So like, I don't like that is something I didn't like seeing. I felt like, why aren't you just run up to the person, at least do something?
Yeah, maybe there's like a spectrum from like you have the WNBA All-Star game on one side, and then you have Unrivaled, and then you have WNBA in terms of like how much attacking there is.
Have you played basketball? You, I mean, you're one of the dolls, right? And you have some of the height. Have you?
Some of the height. Well, some friends did do a pickup basketball game, and it was 3-on-3 last year, and that was fun. I wasn't very good at it, but I think I made like maybe one basket. Besides when we played horse, and I made a few more there. But yeah.
Do you have the competitive spirit for it?
I don't know if I do. I think the bigger problem is that I feel like I'm in pretty much all sports, I'm at least a little bit afraid of the ball. It's just like wired into me. even when people are like, you can't be afraid of the ball, just hearing that doesn't fix like how good I am at a sport.
You're still afraid of the ball.
Yeah. That's why I got rid of them.
Oh! There is like multiple like pickup games for queer and like trans and gay like people for basketball, and I've been meaning to go to one. I have heard of like a trans femme basketball night somewhere. I think it may be in Lincoln Park.
Yeah, I mean,
what I'm saying is, what are you doing in April? Are we gonna roll up? Are we gonna roll up? We just need to find one more person near our height.
I just don't know if I have like the interest in playing sports. I think, I think I'd rather just watch people play sports. I'm more of a watching gal when it comes to these types of things. But yeah, maybe, it's like in my 40s, I'm going to have my like World Series of Poker era where I become a famous poker player. Maybe in my 50s, there would be like a 50s trans femme basketball league.
You're going to be 50 dunking on people.
Yeah, exactly.
I love that. I do think I would say like we should do like one pickup basketball game. Like
we can do one just so you can see how bad I am, and then you'll be satisfied.
Do these players not influence you and motivate you to go out and shoot into the net?
Yeah, in reality, I don't have the same feeling I have when I watch Dropout, and I'm like, oh, I could do improv. Like I will never be even in the stratosphere of talent as Angel Reese, Paige Beckers, Marina Mabry, Courtney Gray, and anyone. So.
Well, look, I am saying, yeah, we do one pickup basketball game and then we try to walk onto the Chicago sky. Yeah, I mean, I am saying that.
Yeah.
And you are picking that up perfectly. But what I want to know about like your experience with the game of basketball though is like it's the same one that I want to know about your pretty much all like sports, and which is like you're right. I do see that you're more of a spectator gal, and I just want to know like does that mean, is that why you want to watch this league, this very new league?
I don't think necessarily. And you also have me thinking about like what instances am I not a spectator? And like for instance, more social games, more Survivor, Traders games. I mean, I don't want to go on Survivor, but I'd be down to go on Traders, and like I want to like play like a version of Traders with my friends like within the next year or so. So I feel like that is more appealing. It's like where if you don't actually have to be physically skilled, like I'm down for something competitive.
Well, when you and all your like queer leftist friends get thrown into the camps, that'd be a great time to do like a DIY Traders.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, what else are we gonna do? Like, definitely our like capitalist overlords are gonna let us like run around with a chalice and pretend to murder each other. I mean, I guess that'd be kind of similar to Squid Games, where like you have the extremely rich people just watching people. Like, if they could figure out a way to make it entertainment for them, and then like we actually kill each other, they would do it.
Hunger Games. What up? Where you at?
Yeah, I mean, all these things are kind of interrelated.
Where you at, Citadel? Well, Citadel Capital is Ken Griffin's company here in Chicago. Which kind of leads into something I want to talk to you about. And especially about this league that like proudly says that it is player owned. The question is which players? The question is how much player owned? The pool of player ownership is 15%, which means that unless some people are being very, insecure in their like shark ways, capitalistic ways of taking as much ownership as possible, the players will never have like a loud voice within the ownership structure. And I think I think that's kind of the point, right? Because the unrivaled like investors, like it's not like dummies. It's not people that don't know how to play the game. I just want to name you a couple here. Anna Snarnoff, former chairwoman and CEO of Warner Brothers.
Ooh.
Which is like, I don't think Sarnoff is like a dummy. Like I might like shit on David Zasloff here and there. Actually, 100% of the time. But like I don't think David Zasloff doesn't understand the game of capital. You know, the same thing with like other people here, like Moira Forbes, who was the executive VP for Forbes Media. Now, I don't know if you know anything about Forbes.
The main thing I know is that like all of their articles either have like a paywall or they like make you go through these like slideshows to like find out anything.
Because Forbes did something very smart. They just created a blogging system for people to pay to have their shit published and have the Forbes name attached to it. Which is like smart, but it sucks. But there's like there's 3 names here that I just want to like point to. Do you know a gentleman named Gary Vaynerchuk?
Luckily, I do not.
This guy's named Gary V to a lot of people. This guy, what he does is give like inspiring speeches about how you, the downtrodden, peed on, underfed, ugly, ill-bred man, because let's face it, he's talking to men, how you can actually become rich. Like that's his whole bag. He's one of many, but his bag is like, hey, I'm here to soothe the ego and the inadequacy within like men, because they're being told that they should be the masters of the universe versus the reality, which is like capital is bearing so much onto people that they can't succeed.
So he's in the Manosphere extended universe.
100%. And that's, I mean, does Gary V give a fuck about like women's basketball? Maybe. He cares about money though. Let me tell you about this other guy, Dan Rosenwein. He's the executive chairman for Chegg. You used Chegg in college, right?
You know, the name sounds familiar, but if I did, I wiped it out of my brain.
She's saying she's so smart. Chegg is just effectively a plagiarism, like cheating, like pay for win, like structure. It's just a website that has textbooks, questions, and their answers, so people could like glide through their education. Chegg also owns a fuck ton of like other companies that do the exact same thing, which is like reduce the value of higher education. But I think you know this one guy, Ashton Kutcher.
Oh yeah, I know him. That 70s show.
Yeah. You know, Ashton Kutcher is does he care about women? He would say yeah, he cares about women. He has this app where you can upload pictures of hotel rooms, and some fancy machine would scan it to see if there's any identifying information that could lead to finding evidence of human trafficking for women into prostitution. He is also very fond of the FBI. Very fond of the
CBS show or the actual FBI? Probably both.
No, I mean, because the 70s shows was on Fox. So probably not CBS. The thing is though that like Ashton Kutcher is also very famously wrote a letter to the judge that was overseeing the case against Matheson, who is one of the co-hosts of the 70s show, where he was asking for leniency. So this guy that cares about women and creates an app to fight human trafficking is also penning a letter for kindness by the judge of a man who is a convicted rapist. Does he care about women?
So it certainly does seem like there are some investors in Unrivaled that, maybe not feminists. But, I do think that, like, if you look at the politics of, like, Breonna Stewart, she had an abolish ICE sign that she had at the Unrivaled games this weekend. And, like, Unrivaled released a statement following ICE's murder of Alex Preddy. WNBA did not. So I think you do see that there are ways where Unrivaled does have more freedom than the WNBA in terms of their politics.
And that is important to note, because this Unrivaled is very much focused on changing the status quo of how players in the WNBA are treated. They're paid like shit. There's currently, right now, multiple account managers at some bullshit job making more than $80K than Caitlin Clark, which is like not right. Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, Paige Beckers is they're massive talents, and they should be rewarded for that, because they've put in so much effort, so much time, and so much energy into becoming that.
And that's a lot of what the current CBA negotiations are about. And they've been going on for months, and the WNBA hasn't been budging. And it's leading to a potential player lockout, which could lead to the postponing of the next WNBA season. So this is a really big deal.
And look, I can say for the both of us, for the show, and the majority of their listeners, we want these players to be compensated fairly, and for the treatment by the owners to be increased 10,000-fold. So whatever their decision is, whatever they can get, I back them to the hilt.
Yeah, and I want to give a little bit of background for some of what's going on in these negotiations. And I'm getting this from the Unrivaled Data Instagram account, which has a lot of useful information. Thank you to my sister for pointing me this way. So basically, the major players at the bargaining table, you have the WNPA, which is the players' union, and all WNBA players are in the union, and they elect a president, an executive committee. So every player has a say. It's collective bargaining, not individual bargaining. We love to see it. And then the WNBA commissioner, Kathy Engelbert. And the interesting thing about her is that she was the CEO of Deloitte for many years. So
which is the most feminist company out there.
Yeah, so you heard some numbers from my wonderful co-hosts earlier, but the rookie minimum is $66,079. The VAT minimum is $78,831, and the max is $214,466. And I don't know what the difference between max and supermax, but supermax is $249,244,
which is like only like $20K more, which is it's so super.
Yeah, salary cap is $1.5 million. All-star bonus is $2,500. MVP bonus is $15,000. And so you can compare that to like the average for the Unrivaled, which is like the 200,000. So, and players do not currently get a pension plan or a cut of jersey sales,
which is so wild. The only reason why that jersey means anything is because of the name attached.
Yeah, and especially when you compare this to the great Unrivaled facilities, they don't get private locker rooms and showers guaranteed. They don't get private practice facilities guaranteed, which, by the way, Chicago Sky, the training facilities have been very lackluster, which has been one of the main complaints. They're supposed to get a better one, but still, they deserve better. They're not guaranteed fully equipped weight rooms. They're not guaranteed sports staff. So yeah, these players deserve a lot more. Where does the WNBA money come from? TV rights deal. WNBA recently signed a major TV rights deal worth $200 million per year, $2.2 billion over 11 years. Expansion teams, 5 new teams coming in. Last 3 teams paid $250 million. They got sponsorships with Nike, Google, Deloitte, and Kia. And local revenue, ticket sales, concessions, parking, team partnerships, jersey sales. And where does that money go? Oh, that's right. The WNBA takes 42% of central revenue.
Wild.
That ain't right. WNBA team owners take another 42% of central revenue. Private investors take the final 16% of central revenue. Wow. All those people get paid first. Then the remaining money goes into a pool for league operations expenses, and the players' contracted cut about 9.3% of total revenue.
Unacceptable. Like, honestly unacceptable. The WNBA is starting in the negative for like progressive politics, and this is a socialist podcast. So the Unrivaled League coming in and doing circles around the WNBA it's easy. First, it's easy, but 2, it's not enough. It's easy because the Unrivaled gives players more money. They give them better training facilities. They give them they don't have to travel. Because the games are within one city for 1 weekend and they move. And then there's like other benefits that more people in this country should have. One of them being support for like family planning and also domestic aid. The Unrivaled League gives players access to like nanny services. And look, like women already get like the rawest end of every deal, right? But a whole league of women would get the worst possible. But the Unrivaled is fighting that, is removing that by giving women something that they need, maternal support. And that's cool. I like that. That's true.
Yeah. And I think it's important to like emphasize how important it is that we're on the side of the players in these negotiations, because I think like circa the WNBA All-Star game, I feel like a lot of the internet, even people like the fucking Barstool Sports guy, was like tweeting about how the players deserve more. It was kind of weird, honestly. But
guy with allegations supporting women.
I have seen this shift lately online where like on the WNBA subreddit, a lot of the commenters are like falling for union busting rhetoric, and it has me sad. And part of it is that they're like, "Oh, well, I don't want to watch Unrivaled season 2 because I prefer 5v5 over 3v3. So I don't like that they're saying that Unrivaled, that they're going to use it as a bargaining chip because my favorite player, Caitlin Clark, isn't in Unrivaled." And I think it's like important.
And damn it, Caitlin Clark is in 25 commercials right now, selling TVs, cars, packages for cruises, and that ain't right.
Like, I think as a leftist, as a socialist podcast, it's important to emphasize like why it's important to be on the side of the workers always. Like, each of these fights, like they build on top of each other, and building worker power is how we're going to actually, have a general strike eventually. It's going to be how we get what we deserve. Like all these struggles are interconnected, and to fall for like the union busting rhetoric that, Kathy is pushing, like you're a flop if you do that.
And like I like some of the stuff that Unrivaled is doing. And I think that stuff is coming directly from player experience in the WNBA, and also the female experience of being mistreated, right? That still doesn't mean that Unrivaled is against the WNBA. Like, can Unrivaled be a chip that can be played against the WNBA? From what I have seen, I don't think so. It's not. They have different like structures for revenue. Unrivaled, yeah, just like the WNBA makes a lot of money through like sponsorships and advertising, but they don't make money the way that other teams do. Well, as you mentioned, parking, ticketing, merchandising, because the structure of this system is different. There's not that big of an audience in these games. In the game that we saw, there was almost no one there. Not because people don't want to be there, but because there's only about 900 seats per game, which is nothing compared to the thousands that can be seen at a Sky game or a Fever game. And that's on purpose, I think. Because the Unrivaled's not interested in growing so large that they can be the XFL to the NFL. In this case, they don't want to own an arena. They don't want to have large spectator arenas because that would be directly going against the money of the WNBA.
Like the Unrivaled is much more focused on the spectacle of what's shown on TV than what is that like what's happening like for the audience members in the stadium. And people who have like been to both games have like confirmed this, that there's like when you're at a New York Liberty game, you got the mascots, you got all kinds of stuff going on, but they like the there's more. It's more about the cinematography of like, except when the frickin' Samsung Galaxy is the camera, which that's like the two biggest gripes with Unrivaled are every single game they do an advertisement for the Samsung Galaxy phone where like you're watching the game through this phone that's like slowly panning so you can see the action, and it's like this is clearly worse than the high-tech cameras they have. And it's not like any of the players have these phones. Like, they're not falling for this shit. Like, they gotta get rid of that, and they gotta get rid of the this is the fourth quarter, there's no commercials, brought to you by AT&T. Like, no, that's a commercial.
I think it's because Unrivaled is also very media first. They want to create personalities out of these players. They want to create stories and parasocial relationships with these players. And I think it's working. You sent me a TikTok with a bunch of players doing their thing, having fun, enjoying themselves, and making fun TikToks. And I think that's on purpose, because once you read into the revenue structure, into the Unrivaled has, you see how media first they are. They even have like content studios within their arena, and I'm just like, okay, for what?
For all the great TikToks that come out. And yeah, I think we gotta definitely mention the Stud Buds. They had their 72-hour Twitch stream during the WNBA All-Star Weekend. Each of them are in different teams in Unrivaled, and they even had Courtney Williams commentating for one of Natasha's games this weekend. And we were talking before the show about how they did like a mid-game interview with Boston during the game. Yeah, so they definitely are putting the players kind of front and center.
And I think it gets to the point where you have to ask yourself, is this actually for the sport? Is this for like, talent contracts for the future? And this is when the distinction in between a player-owned league versus like a socialist motor production league is actually important. And as far as I can tell, Unrivaled's just interested in making money. I mean, no duh, clearly. But they're trying to make money by having the spectacle versus having the sport. And even some of the stuff that I read, I read this like interview in Victory Press. I ain't never heard of her, but I read something there. And one of the people that this writer talked to, who was a friend of theirs, said it was so fun and heartwarming to get a chance to get to know more players. And then she goes on to say their personalities as well. And that is, I think that's the point. This is supposed to be about like making more stud buds. This is about making more like interesting media narratives than like the sport itself. And maybe that might be like a very thin hair to slice, but I'm slicing it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm down for more. I'm actually going to be going to the WNBA All-Star game this year.
Nice.
With my sister and my girlfriend. Of course, tickets aren't out yet, so hopefully it won't be like a mad scramble and we won't be able to get tickets, but we're going to get tickets. So it's going to be a great time. And I think it'll be kind of like the culmination of my women's basketball fandom so far.
Nice. I liked watching this game. I think it was very fun. I like watching Natalie Cloud.
Natasha, you don't even know her name.
I'm fine with that. She doesn't know mine.
This is classic men.
Say it.
Say it. Classic masculinity.
You don't have the
misogyny. What word do you want me to say?
I like this. I like this game that we watched. I'm interested in watching some more here and there, but I'm still very much a nerd. I think I'm still very much on the art side of like things. I want to become more of a jock. I have become more of a jock already, but I would like to become more of one. I am interested in watching the Bears play this season, and we'll see. But with that, any last thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I just want to say that women's basketball is a million times better than men's football. And I'm, of course, talking about American football. I'm happy that the Bears had a good season, but it's time that people start paying more attention to women's basketball, whether it be Unrivaled or the WNBA, because it's more entertaining and it makes more sense than football, a sport that like I've watched multiple games. I've watched a bunch of Super Bowls. By the way, like my girlfriend and I are going to be like in a plane during the Super Bowl this year, so that's how much we care. We weren't even paying attention to
You're Super Bowl. Ending with a battle of the sexes.
I mean, sometimes you just gotta do it. Sometimes you just gotta. But the thing is, women's basketball doesn't need me to defend it. It is ascendant. And I'm a bandwagoner, and sometimes you gotta be happy to be a bandwagoner, because I may be a bandwagoner now, but like a few years from now, there will be new bandwagoners, and they'll be like, I remember when I was like you. You're
looking forward to like snob on some bandwagoners?
Yeah, I mean,
I was there from the sophomore season of Unrivaled. The 108th season of Unrivaled is nothing like that.
Exactly. But yeah, I think it might be time for some Hopecast. Our favorite segment. And we love this segment so much that we're kind of expanding it. It's not just about hope. It's about whatever gives you positive feelings, encouragement, anything.
Sometimes hope, sometimes cope.
Exactly. So what's giving you positive feelings these days?
Yeah, nothing. No, nothing. I think like I can only be fed so much by like the vigor and strength of like my comrades around the Midwest. But then something special happens. Like Minneapolis putting up such a ruckus that they put a man out of a job.
That's right. Fuck you, Bovino.
Bovino's gone back into his little hovel, his 2x2 foot hovel in El Centro. I don't know what that means, but like El Centro, California. And seeing his ass getting kicked out of the Midwest is so nice. Mm-hmm. It's so nice.
Yeah, I think especially, we experienced it firsthand in Chicago. His fascism, his outfits, he needed to go.
He needed to go. And I would say, he needed to go so much that like Chicago won 15 of the lawsuits that the federal government took out against multiple people here, including one where Bovino and the federal government were alleging that some guy offered up $10,000 to kill Bovino, and Chicago in unison said, no, he didn't. No one, $10,000 don't even exist in this city.
Amazing. Yeah, I think my Hopecast is pretty similar to yours. I think there's been so many stories I've seen online of like the resiliency of Minneapolis, of like neighbors showing up for each other, and hearing about people who weren't even politically activated by the George Floyd protests, have been like making food for other people in Minneapolis, blowing whistles, so many things I think has been great to see. And especially because I think there was so much sadness and anger coming out of both the murders of Renee Good and Alex Preddy. And the thing is that like, there are so many more of us, and honestly, there's more of us every day. Like seeing the polling numbers, like the Republicans are getting more unpopular every day. Abolishing ICE is getting more popular every day. Unfortunately, it doesn't really look like the Democrats are going to meet this moment. Instead they're like, let's do a bunch of half measures to try to make it so that it seems like we're doing something. But I still have hope, because I think to more and more people, it's clear that abolishing ICE is the minimum. And I think that this momentum is going to keep growing. And yeah, that's what we need right now. And I'm happy to see it.
Yeah. And I'm going to come in with a second hope.
Ooh, from 0 to 2.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Because I just realized something. I watched a movie called Castration Movie Anthology 2,
Ooh.
Best of Both Worlds. Now rentable in Letterboxd.
Wow.
And the reason why that's giving me some hope in this very cold weather in Chicago is one of my biggest critiques and one of my biggest disappointments with art in this modern world is that it doesn't go far enough. It doesn't say the thing that it wants to say. It like fumbles its understanding of itself even. And that movie, which is 5 hours, which is already like, okay.
And this is part 2, and part 1 was almost as long as that.
Oh, yeah. And in it, like, there's so much, like, internal trans, like, dialogue and discourse that, like, me, a cis person, that is not going out there, like, reading message boards and shit. Like, I have multiple trans friends, and I'm not a chaser, and I'm also not I'm not a freak about having trans friends. And I know enough that there's like this internal like community conversation happening in this movie that does say what it's trying to say. It does go far in its depiction of what happens. And I like that. I would put this movie in the same like category as arts that is so deeply personal to a community or a way of being, like Debí Tomar Más Fotos by Bad Bunny or GNX by Kendrick Lamar. It's very much an internal piece of art that the external viewer is privileged to watch it. And honestly, it's incredible. It's very good. Louise Ward, keep doing that shit.
Amazing. I look forward to eventually catching up with both of these movies when I have like 10 hours to kill.
You'll be on the plane on Super Bowl Sunday.
True.
So.
That best way to celebrate.
I watch castration movie. This very, very X-rated movie on the plane.
Having people like, walking back from the bathroom and seeing that on my screen, being like, what the fuck?
Well, thank you so much, listener. We have promised you a big year, and we're delivering a big year.
I am not going to do a Trump impression, personally.
That's not a Trump impression.
Oh, yeah? Who are you?
I'm just growling.
You're just growling. Okay.
Just growling.
Trump has ruined growling for all of us.
Does Trump growl?
Not necessarily, but people who do Trump impressions growl.
Okay, well, please refrain from calling me a white man. Thank you so much for listening. We promised you a big year, and I think we're delivering it. You can find us everywhere.
Everywhere, all at once.
Blue Sky.
Spotify.
El puto diablo Instagram.
YouTube.
Upscroll, maybe?
I was going to say TikTok, but I didn't know we were on Upscroll now.
All with the beautiful name Dove Weather.
That's right. Give us 5 stars.
Thank you so much for listening. Bye.
Have a good one. Bye.